Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. I'm Councilmember Will Jawando, the chair of the Education and Culture Committee for the Montgomery County Council. I'm joined here by my esteemed colleagues and friends, Dr. Jermaine Williams, the president of Montgomery College, and Dr. Monique Felder, the interim superintendent of Montgomery County Public Schools. This is a big day. This is our first in-person budget forum for the education budget since pre-pandemic, so very excited about that. They've been virtual the last several years, and also my first as chair of the committee over the last couple of years. We're here for two main reasons. One, to hear from the public about their priorities in our education budget. As folks may know, we have nearly a $7 billion budget. And as I tell the elementary students I talk to, billion with a B, and a billion is 1,000 million, right? So it's a big number. And MCPS accounts for just about half of that budget. Montgomery College, while not as much of the budget, they do punch above their weight and have tens of thousands of students, 40,000 now? More than 40,000 students in the county that attend Montgomery College, and obviously more than 160,000 students at MCPS. So we have 200,000 students represented by these institutions in a county of 1.1 million or so. Obviously vital to the importance of our economic vitality, to the educational ecosystem, workforce development, and obviously our quality of life. So we thought it was important, and I want to give a shout out to former Councilmember Craig Rice, the former chair of the Education and Culture Committee, and the former representative of this district, who started this tradition years ago. And before I go any further, I want to recognize my colleague and friend and current District 2 council member, Councilmember Marilyn Balcom. And thank her for being here. And she as everyone should know, she is a fierce advocate for the Up County and for Germantown in particular. She's been a joy to work with on the council. We are just a bit about the budget process. So we have received the recommended budget from the Board of Education, which was sent to the county executive earlier this year. The county executive did his best and took his view and sent us his budget, which includes MCPS and all the other items in government, on March 15th. And now the council has just begun and is in the process of starting our budget review, which will conclude around Memorial Day, just at the end of May. So this is the right time to be having these. It informs our process. On the Education and Culture Committee in particular, we will have 4 work sessions on MCPS's operating budget, and we will have 1 to 2 sessions on the Montgomery College budget. So this is the first of 2 forums that we'll have. The next one will be April 16th in Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring. So with that, I would like to first turn it over to Dr. Jermaine Williams to give a presentation. The way this will flow tonight is they'll give brief presentations on their budgets, and then we'll have opportunity for Q&A from the room. Some were submitted in advance, and then certainly online as folks direct us. So with that, one other announcement. We also have budget hearings on the whole budget that the council will have on April 8th and 9th. So starting very soon, it's still not too late to submit budget testimony to us, and you can visit the Montgomery County Council website for that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Williams.
Good evening. Good evening. All right, we're good on the volume. All right, good evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for leading this conversation, Chairman Jawando, and I'm happy to be here with Dr. Felder as well. Welcome to Montgomery College. Who has not been here before? Exactly. We all know about Montgomery College, the impact that Montgomery College. So I will say, instead of welcome, I will say welcome back. Right? This is your community's college, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge our faculty, our staff, our students, alumni who we have, and before I get going, also want to thank Councilmember Balcom for being here as well, and I want to give a shout out to MCTV. Premier MCTV. This is their second live production of the day. So thank you all, as always, for your stellar work. And tonight, everyone's a Raptor. All right, so let's just kind of we'll go with that. As all of you are welcome here, and as I said, we are the Communities College. And when we think about Montgomery College, this is where students come. Students come to find their passion, unlock their potential, to transform lives, right? To enrich the community and change the world. That's our mission statement. That's what we believe in here at Montgomery College. You look at us by the numbers, as you heard Chairman Jawando share, we serve more than 40,000 students. Or you can see that the average age of our students who are taking credit classes. What this slide does not necessarily share is exactly how diverse we are. You can see that we represent more than 150 countries. We are also federally designated by the Department of Education as a Hispanic-serving institution, making us the only community college in Maryland with that designation. And we are also designated as an Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander serving institution. Right? As we look at what drives us here at Montgomery College, our North Star, looking towards our transformational aspirations, and really, we have three components of those: access, completion, and post-completion success. It is why we do what we do. These are fairly new for us, and we are embracing them with vigor, with care, and with a lens of equity and data, right? Because we want to make sure in terms of access that we can create and enhance a college-going culture within the county, so that everyone who can benefit from education at Montgomery College is able to do that. And with completion, we want to make sure that while people are here, those experiences, they have not only economic, but social and community impact. Right? And when we think about post-completion success, we think about individual, economic, and social mobility. That also leads to intergenerational ability. Right? That is our why. That is our North Star. That's what we strive for. Right? Access begins here, all across the county. Right? Our Rockville, Tacoma Park, Silver Spring, Germantown, and we have our new, where a lot of us were today, our East County Education Center that just opened on Wednesday. And when we think about our state-of-the-art classrooms and labs that advance meaningful teaching and learning, I know that we are so proud to be able to have those for our students and the residents who we seek to serve. We're particularly proud of many things, but I will mention one thing, and that is the new Math and Science building that, thanks to Chairman Jawando, his peers on the council, and others, that we will see come to fruition very soon. This is the Catherine and Isaiah Leggett Math and Science building down at our Tacoma Park, Silver Spring campus. And this is all wrapped around the budget. So if you're sitting here thinking, why is he not sharing the numbers with me, right? This is what the budget helps to produce, right? The budget is the purveyor of this. We've all heard, right, that the fiscal plan is really what you have and what helps you move forward, right? So the budget is helping all this. And we think about our access expanding, and I mentioned just this a moment ago, and towards our East County Education Center. Right now it's offering short-term training, right? We have opportunities that are filled in terms of IT. We have our credit-bearing opportunities that will start in the summer. Again, thanks to our council members, thanks to the leadership of Chair Jawando, this facility is open. Right, and for those of you who may be new to the county like me, I'll contextualize this a little bit. This conversation has been around for decades, if you ask some people, in terms of how we bring equitable educational access to East County. So we are super excited about this 55,000-foot standalone facilities that is going to help increase the number of nurses that we have, IT professionals, education professionals, and so much more. And it also is the first step towards the planning of our East County campus, which would be our fourth campus, which is underway. When we think about students who are discovering their passions, it doesn't matter the campus, it doesn't matter the center, or if it's MC online. It doesn't matter, because we're providing the high quality education and training that our students and the residents who we seek to serve need in order to be actors, to be nurses, to be engineers, cybersecurity techs, right? Auto technicians. So much of this and more. And I'm not going to talk too much over this next slide, but I'll just let this soak in. And these are some of our alumni, and you can, see who some of our alumni are, and you can see what they're doing, where they're working, the impact across our beautiful county of 1.1 million people, right? This is post-completion success. When we think about tomorrow's alumni, right? They start in high school, and I know there's some questions about that, and sometimes even earlier. We're hosting, middle schoolers, elementary school students. When we talk about them working towards gaining that education, it starts often in high school. This year, we have a little more than 2,000 MCPS students who are taking Montgomery College classes. For the past few years, we have graduated more than 250 Montgomery County public school students a few weeks prior to them getting their high school diploma, right? This is this great partnership that we have, right? This is what, leaders like Chairman Jawando, right, and our Councilmember Balcom, this is what they're fueling, right, with their budget decisions. So we are super proud because these individuals are graduating, and they're graduating as IT professionals, behavioral health experts, entrepreneurs, and cloud computing techs. And when we think about making our mission real, and I'll get into some numbers, right, we're not asking for any new county funds. Right? Our total appropriation, and this gets a little bit weedy, so I'm not going to get into it, is $335 million, of which the county is essential for us actually receiving. What's driving us is affordable post-secondary education. Right? No tuition increase. All right? With this, no new county funds. That'll be the third time in 4 years that there has not been an increase in tuition at Montgomery College. Third time in 4 years. Right? And we're looking to... Thank you, sir. And with that budget that we had put forward to Chair Jawando and the county, it also provides an opportunity for us to invest in our faculty and staff, right? Ensuring that we can recruit the individuals who we need and keep the individuals who we have, who are the great purveyors of the education and training that we need. So when we think about, as I close, again, making our mission real, our facilities, critical to student success, our total request is across several years, 462. You can see that. This looks at theater arts in Rockville, Student Services Center, East County campus, tech projects, deferred maintenance, among other items. We have several items that are going on at the college at one point in time. Again, 3 campuses across the entire county, several centers, 40,000+ students, 3,600 approximately employees. So there's a lot going on at Montgomery College at any given time. And then as we end, short and sweet, I'm going to end with where we started, with our why in terms of our transformational aspirations, so that we can have a thriving Montgomery County, so that we can continue to contribute and be an anchor institution in this county, so we can not only serve the students who are here with us now, but the residents who we know can benefit from education at Montgomery College. So on that note, we continue to be ready to change the world.
All right.
So thank you, Chairman Jawando.
Thank you, Dr. Williams, for that presentation. And I neglected to mention the budget has 2 portions. It's a capital budget and an operating budget. Obviously, both impact our educational system. And Dr. Williams referred to the capital budget, which is the bricks and mortar and infrastructure as it relates to schools. It's also transportation as it relates to the entire county. And we just took a preliminary straw vote on the education portion of the capital budget just earlier this week, or last week. They're all running together. Recently, this week. Thank you, Henry. And that will be passed together in May with both sides of the budget. And you're welcome to talk about both. I know in the context of the schools, we often hear about facilities and operating, so the budget is the budget, and this is fair. All of that is fair game. So now I'll turn it over to Dr. Felder.
Thank you so much, Chairman Jawando. I also want to recognize Councilwoman Balcom and Dr. Williams, and everyone who's here tonight, good evening. I'm so grateful that each of you have come out this evening to discuss public education in Montgomery County. I am very proud to serve as the interim superintendent of schools in the state's largest school district and one of the largest in the nation, where we open our doors every day to our students in 211 schools, serving 160,000 students who come into our buildings each and every day. And so it's a pleasure to be here this evening. And so we all know how important public education is to our community. Our county council and county executive continue to support our public schools through funding they provide to MCPS. And for that, we are very grateful. And we are using these funds to increase academic achievement across grades and subjects. You should know that 80% of our budget actually goes directly to schools. Again, 80% of our budget goes directly to schools. The other 20% is used to support schools. And the demographics of our students inside our schools continues to change. And we are proud and we welcome that diversity of our community. And we know that, however, that diversity brings different set of needs. We are focused on meeting the needs of all of our students, no matter what our students' backgrounds are. We know that they can learn and achieve at high levels. That is not a question at all for us. And so you also must know that teaching is a people business, and so we can't AI our children to success. It involves people, and we need excellent educators across our school system. And so to ensure that we have the best people, when we think about what our research and best practice tells us about student success, the number one factor are teachers, are the educators. And so it's important that we have the very best people in our schools. And in order to do that, we have to provide them with a competitive salary, benefits, and supportive environments that will keep them in the district because they have other options. And we have to keep that in mind. So the good news is that we are beginning to see positive results from the investments that we are making in teaching and learning. And we need to continue to make those investments to keep this positive momentum going. So next slide, please. And so in February, actually, if you can go back one. In February 2024, our Board of Education proposed a fiscal year 2025 operating budget of $3.35 billion, designed to support each and every need of our system. And note that this proposal is 5.9% increase when the nation's inflation rate is at 6%. So in March, the county executive made his budget recommendation, which proposed a $3.293 billion budget for MCPS. And so now we are working with our county council members and advocating for the necessary full funding of the level requested by the Board of Education. Next slide, please. And so with regards to our students' needs, as a district, make no mistake about it, we are still in a post-pandemic recovery. We're still recovering from the pandemic. And so while great progress is being made, there's still significant work to be done, and it is not free. Math content coaches, reading specialists in our elementary schools, our social workers, psychologists, special educators, paraeducators, and more are making such a huge difference. These are direct investments in our students' academic success. In addition to student needs, there are staff needs. So staff needs such as professional development. So again, going back to that number one in-school factor, when we think about teachers, yes, they graduate, but it takes 5 years at least to become a master teacher. And just like In other professions, when you're coached in professional development, they need that in order to perfect their craft. And so professional development, the curricular resources, and support professionals working directly in the classroom and making a difference for our children, enabling them to better provide excellent education experience. So these are direct investments. Again, when we make investments in our staff, we are making direct investments in our children's success. And then there are district needs. And so here, the increase in operational costs are due to inflation, inflationary rise, expanding support for programs, safety and security. That is paramount in our district. Mental health and wellness. When we think about educating a child, it's not just the academic side. We have to consider the whole child. And so that includes their mental health and wellness. And so those programs have to exist in our schools. And so much more that represents an excellent, high-quality school system. So these are direct, again, investments in our students' academic success. But there are also challenges that exist. And our challenges are represented by expanding student needs, state requirements, such as the Maryland Blueprint for Education. That's something, that legislation and the community expectations easily are addressed, but only through full funding. So full funding is a direct investment in our students' academic success. A prudent budget does not ask for more than is necessary, as the quote at the bottom of this slide says. A prudent budget represents what is required and no more. And what we're asking for is a prudent budget. Next slide, please. So, an important but unfortunate truth is that local per pupil funding is essentially the same as 2024 as it was more than 20 years ago, as outlined in this line graph. This has not been made up with funding from other sources. Our largest regular funding source is what we invest locally. At our best, in 2009, when our local per pupil funding was at $9,310 per student, how is it okay that in 2024, local per pupil funding is $7,322? And this is essentially the same funding level today as in 2001, despite the rising costs of delivering services. And so, the math isn't mathing. If this math does not work at my kitchen table or your kitchen table, how will it work when investing in student academic success? A formula that represents a real-world approach to funding the rising costs and need of public education must be on the table. Next slide, please. So what can you do? Well, thank you for your interest in funding public education here in Montgomery County. Your time today certainly speaks to us very deeply and is appreciated. And I'm sure I speak for my colleagues here with us this evening with regards to that. Being here this evening, you are not only showing commitment to our students, and we thank you for partnering in terms of advocating to make MCPS the best that it can be. So what can I do? I can assure you that my team and I will continue to advocate for our students' needs, ensuring that every student has great teachers, that they have the instructional materials and resources and programs that they need to drive their academic success. So that's my role and one that I am proud and committed to doing. But there's still time for you, for your voice to be heard. So next slide, please. And so there's still plenty of time before the final budget approval throughout this month and next month. You can engage with county council members and with your community to advocate for students here in Montgomery County. And check the county council website. Additional forums and work sessions and hearings will be held soon before the county council votes to adopt the county budget on May 23rd. So thank you.
Felder, a round of applause as well. thank you so much, and we are we're right on time, which I love, and on budget, I guess, almost, right? You know, we're on at least talking about the budget. One of the things I'll mention, then we'll turn to questions, and I'll ask for direction from staff if I'm starting in the room or if I'm starting on the paper. Okay, and then we will get to the room though, so there was a benefit in addition to the food for you coming tonight. So thank you very much. Just want to thank Dr. Williams for hosting us, and Dr. Felder, for both of you for your presentations. As a lifelong Montgomery County resident, I've said this many times, I want to say it again today, we have one of the best, if not the best, education systems in the country. Our community college is top-notch. Our school system is top-notch, and I have kids in the system. I went to the system. That doesn't mean we don't have challenges and we have to keep improving. We absolutely do. The county changes just like the country changes, and we have to do that. And this is a big part of that, so thank you both. So let me ask first. We have, and I'm just the moderator here at this point. These are not my questions. These were submitted in advance, and thank you for those who are online and who submitted questions in advance. I'll rotate maybe back and forth between the college and MCPS. There's one related to the plans to renovate Eastern Middle School, and why are there further delays? That is a question for MCPS, and as I mentioned, we took up the CIP budget, and so we have Mr. Brian Hall, who's stepping up to the mic there, and he can speak specifically to Eastern Middle School.
Great, thank you, Mr. Jawando, Dr. Felder, Dr. Williams. My name is Brian Hall. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Montgomery County Public Schools. So Eastern Middle School, the good news is that the board did include construction dollars in their CIP request for Eastern Middle School this year. Unfortunately, due to limited funding, countywide, there's obviously not enough money to do everything. One of the non-recommended reductions that the system put forward and that the county council is considering would delay the construction potentially by 1 to 3 years. And so we do hope to get started with the planning this fall. It's going to be a major capital project, so likely to be part new construction, part renovation. Again, we'll get started this coming fall with the planning phase, and then the county council has identified this project as a priority, and so we're hoping that will result in very few delays, if any, but it could potentially be delayed slightly, and the reasoning is just that there's not enough money in the county to do everything that the school system and all of the other agencies are asking for.
Appreciate that, and I'll just add, we intentionally took a approach to the capital budget, as we discussed earlier this week, to have truth in budgeting. So many years that I've been on the council and before, people thought their time was coming up for a new building and it didn't stand because there weren't enough funds. And then there were issues with systemic issues like HVAC and ADA accessibility, things that needed to be rehabilitated, and they're costs that are ongoing but that we weren't capturing in the CIP. And so what we did this year, and it's going to hurt before it helps, but it will help, is that we focused on those systemic funding long-term projects like HVAC and ADA and safety and security and other upgrades, and put those in the CIP, $211 million in the later years of the CIP, because we have been paying for those things and we're going to need to pay for those things. And that required us to move some projects back or delay a few, but Eastern Middle School was one that we focused on as being a priority to keep as close to on track as possible. So that's just something, if there are other questions about the CIP, I wanted to say that up front. Let me switch here to Montgomery College. There's been a concern in the community about events hosted on the MC campuses that some perceive to be anti-Semitic. What do you have to say to people who want to limit funding to MC while such events are being hosted? Dr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I will start by saying that Montgomery College is committed to creating, building, and maintaining a community where everyone feels welcomed and safe. So we start off with that. That is a priority. The college is also, we strongly believe as a public institution, and based on our values and the right of our community to engage in free academic discourse, and we defend freedom of speech. Right? So, but these two values are not mutually exclusive, right? We can and we should debate and discuss issues that are relevant and that are important to our college, to our county, to our country, and to our world. However, those arguments, those debates must be centered in civility, right? They must refrain from hate-infused rhetoric. That's absolutely unacceptable. You know, events and or communications that undermine that unfortunately make people feel as though they are unsafe, that decrease, the sense of belonging that individuals have, are unacceptable at Montgomery College. And I know that as we strive for our students, our faculty and staff, and other community members, I think we all strive to be mindful of how our words, how our actions impact others. And I think we're at our best when we consider that and engage in an empathetic way where we're listening and we're learning, right, in a critical manner, right, that's working towards understanding. So, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Dr. Felder, there's several questions we received here. In audience, please be thinking of your questions related to early childhood education. And I'm going to combine two here. They wanted to know the allocation of funds for early care and education and how that's within the budget. And also, another question was how much goes to support in the budget 0 to 5 population, which would include pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds, and how do we expand Head Start, those type of questions. So the early childhood strategy.
Yes, so thank you so much, Chairman Jawando, for that question. And so certainly we support early childhood education for all the reasons that we know, right? That is where our students get their first experience, and with regards to their education, we know that it's important for students to not only, again, their academic well-being in terms of having those experiences, learning to read in particular, particularly by the end of 3rd grade. That's part of the early childhood experience, but also ensuring that our students have those social emotional skills that they need to be successful in later grades. So we do make a huge investment in early childhood education. We are expanding our early childhood education reach. We know that it's best when students have a full day program. That is certainly an advantage for them. And so we have, again, in our budget, funds to expand early childhood this year to include our Head Start program. And so I don't know if our finance team wants to speak about that in more detail.
Yeah, is there any detail that could be added to how many slots and how much money is in the proposed budget for that?
Yep, so thank you again for that question. There's about, overall in the budget, in our $3.2 billion budget, there's about $70 million for programs for students between 0 and 5 years old, including pre-K. Of that, about $8 million is a new investment in our pre-K, and that's going to go to some new classrooms for special education students, and then turning classes that are currently half-day pre-K into full-day pre-K classes.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do one more off the pre-selected list, and then I'll come to the audience. And so please, again, be ready. And if you're not, I'll come back to this list. For you, Dr. Williams, and this is a long one, but I'm going to read it all. I'm the coordinator of Montgomery College Middle College program at Northwood High School. Our students are able to pursue a wide range of fields of study, including engineering and computer science. Some arrive in 9th grade only in Algebra 1 and need to take geometry or Algebra 2 in the summer to advance themselves in the level of math to be able to complete the required courses in these fields. This year, they are being charged for those classes. If a family makes more than $55,500 a year, then 2 semesters of math will cost $700. If they make $39,000 through $55,000, it will
with MCPS and really take that head on so that we are ensuring that everyone who can, again, avail themselves of and benefit from, post-secondary education at Montgomery College is able to do so. So,
Thank you. Dr. Felder, do you have anything to add on that?
I would love to. And so I don't know if everyone knows that Montgomery County Public Schools is one of the top dual enrollment programs in the state in terms of access, options, and diversity. We're investing $5 million in tuition and materials for dual enrollment, which is now a blueprint requirement. And that has yielded a 76% increase in our Black and Hispanic students taking college courses from FY 2020 to FY 2023. The class of 2024 is expected to have the largest number of graduates ever in MCPS, and that will again position MCPS as #1 in the state. And so we continue to support and promote and budget for dual enrollment and ensuring that our students have access and opportunities that will advance their future.
Well, I appreciate that, and I was glad when this one came in because I was not aware of this, and so it's something as we go through the budget, as Dr. Williams said and Dr. Felder also alluded to, we want to make sure access is paramount. And I've been to these graduations, which are awesome. They actually graduate from college the week before they graduate from high school, which has always been cool to me. So we want to make sure that there's not barriers built in. So thank you for bringing this up, and we will look into it. All right, I'm going to turn, anyone in the audience have a question? There are mics at the side. There's someone there, so if you have a question, step up to the mic. Please introduce yourself and ask a question.
Okay, since you said, I will ask. First of all, I want to say thank you for this event. Dr. Williams, I am the Tiffany Kelly that reached out to you about Summarize. I want to thank you for your prompt response in getting me connected with your staff that could help to really bridge the gap between MCPS and MC. My name is Tiffany Kelly. I live in Gaithersburg, Maryland. My son is an MCPS student. My focus in this county is consulting and recommendations on anti-poverty and economic equity. The students in this county with the worst outcomes are free and reduced meal students, both in discipline and academics. While we put forth a lot of programming, such as dual enrollment and our professional courses that they can take, many of them don't even know they exist, because poverty is more than just about money. It is about understanding and navigating systems, and typically, when a student is poor, they have been so for generations. And we have everything in this school district to make sure that these students graduate ready to do anything except work a minimum wage job. I am but one person, but I get around. What are we going to do to really push the agenda of poverty prevention? Because every student will go through school, but when they're adults, you have to bank on them coming to you for help that they might not know that they need until later on. What can we do to advance the prevention of them going into the same poverty that their parents did? Because we got the stuff, we're just not really making it equitable and accessible for those students.
Okay, Dr. Felder, do you want to take a crack at that?
I'm happy to do so. And so thank you for your question. First and foremost, we have to ensure that our students are, when we think about literacy and the implications when one is not literate, particularly if a student is not reading by the end of grade 3, that has implications for them for many years to come. That's important. We also want to ensure that our students have the skills that they need to be successful in the area of mathematics. And so really ensuring that our students have a strong start from the beginning, but also when we think about as they matriculate, wanting to ensure that they have opportunities to, with regards to graduating both career and college ready. And so ensuring that our students graduate with a certificate, whether they are going straight into the world of work or to college, that's something that every single student needs to graduate with. And so that is our focus, to ensure that our students have a strong start, that they are reading by the end of grade 3. We know when we think about the school to prison pipeline, it starts with reading. We know that 2/3 of children who wind up in the juvenile justice system were not able to read by the end of 3rd grade, and 70% of students or adults who wind up being incarcerated are illiterate. So reading is a civil right, and it is fundamental, and we have to ensure that our students are able to do that by the end of 3rd grade. Not that they can't afterwards, but it makes it very difficult, and we know that literacy impacts every other content area. And then, again, with regards to access and opportunities, we want to ensure that our students graduate with a career focus and the ability to earn wages, even if as they are going to college or if they go into the world of work first, followed by college at some point. And so that's what's really important. And I also hear you saying that sometimes they don't even know what they can access and have opportunities to. So sounds like that's a place that we can do more work to ensure that not only our students know, but to bookend that by ensuring that our families know and that they know early. Students don't need to know these things, and families when their children are in high school. That's something that we can begin educating our students and families about early, because there are a lot of opportunities, but if you don't know about them, it makes it hard for you to take advantage of them. And so that's on us to ensure that our families and our students have that knowledge.
Thank you, Dr. Felder. Dr. Williams?
Sir, I want to bring your words back to you. Our students in poverty are not finishing college. You said that. So you're well aware that this is a gap. So I just wanted to bring that back to your remembrance, and I do recognize your commitment in that regard.
Thank you. Dr. Williams?
Just a few things. There's a lot I could say, but just a few things. One, hello. To thank you for bringing this to the fore. And the third is when I look back to our North Star, and one of them is access. And while I didn't go through everything on that slide, one of the intended outcomes there is that every MCPS student, by the time they're in 7th grade, has a meaningful connection to Montgomery College. That's one of our goals, one of our aspirations. Every single student by the time they're in 7th grade has a meaningful connection with Montgomery College. One of the ways in which we're doing that, a very new and exciting initiative, picking up on something that Dr. Felder said, is MoCoCap. And it started this year. This stands for the Montgomery County Career Advising Program. It's a collaborative effort between Montgomery College, MCPS, and Workforce Montgomery, where we are training career counselors to be in every single Montgomery County public middle school and high school. Middle school and high school. How do we get the information to them? That is a step towards getting the information to our younger residents within our county. So, thank you.
And I would just add, you mentioned Summer Rise, which I'm glad you emailed about it. I don't know what happened, but I hope it all worked out. But just for folks in the room, speaking of knowing, that's one of our many work-based learning programs, which MCPS now runs. And I had the pleasure of founding and running 7 years ago. Before I was on the council, and we just had almost 3,000 students apply for a 5-week summer program where they get paid to work at a really interesting career experience, shadowing, and kind of a internship light program. It's one of the many things that I'm passionate about, to your point of exposure, and I know my colleagues on the council, and I know Councilmember Balcom is passionate about, is giving work-based learning opportunities to all of our students by the time they graduate high school. Because when you can connect it, whether it's through CTE or career programs or dual enrollment or Summer Rise or internships or apprenticeships, once you can get that real-life learning connected, particularly for our students who are low income, and show them how their education connects to real-life opportunity. And we just have to scale those. You know, what do we have, 50,000 high school students, or roughly? You know, I want tens of thousands of them to have those opportunities, not just in high school. And so I know MCPS is working on a plan to build to that. I think that's important as well.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon or good evening. First of all, I want to thank you guys for allowing the community to have input into the budgets. I think it's something that's very, very important. My name is Reardon Sullivan. I actually went to high school here in Montgomery County, graduated from Wooten High School, so thank you guys so much. The one thing that I did want to bring up is, I guess, the term success. Everything that I'm reading and hearing, Montgomery County is not doing, the school system is not as robust or as good as at least it was when I went to school. An example might be things like the U.S. News and World Report. They were saying that, I think it was Watkins Mill is graduating people, students with that are like 3% or 15% proficient in math. And so the idea that our school system is successful, I'm questioning that, and I'd love to find out what metric you have to back that up, number one. Number two, there's a separate group called Montgomery County Taxpayers League. They did a quick review of the budget as it's been posted, and they compared our budget in Montgomery County with that of Fairfax. Fairfax County had, I believe, 36% overhead, and Montgomery County had 45% overhead. So I'd like to hear the thought or why our overhead here in Montgomery County is so much higher than Fairfax, which has 180,000 students to our 160,000 students. And
There's another one. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're going to stop you at 3.
I guess stop me. Okay, fair enough. Tell you what, I'm gonna stop at 2. How's that? I'll yield the mic. Thank you much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I heard issues which I would are related to the standards to graduate, and are we keeping track? And Watkins Mill was mentioned as an example, and then the overhead costs. So those are kind of 2 separate issues, Dr. Felder, and if you have staff that want to help too.
And so thank you so much for that question. Certainly our goal is for our students to be successful, to graduate ready for their future. And when that's not happening, that is of concern to us. Again, I'll go back to research and best practice. And when that's not happening, it unfortunately is there isn't a silver bullet, meaning there's one thing that we have to look at. We have to look at a multitude of things. It is very complex, but it certainly starts with ensuring that students are getting good first instruction. And that means that we have high quality teachers in every classroom, that we are supporting them in the ways that I described earlier, that they have access to rigorous, robust curriculum, that there are strong relationships in that classroom happening as well. We also have to do work around engaging our families and helping them to be in a position to support us with supporting their children, and so there's that aspect of it as well. And so, again, when we're not seeing that our students are successful, we also have to look at what's happening with them social-emotionally. So it's many factors that we have to consider when our students are not being successful at school, and work in those various areas to further support them, whether that is that is through an equity lens and saying, what does this child need to be successful? But we have a number of metrics that we certainly are monitoring, both metrics by way of state assessments as well as the various informal assessments and more formal assessments that the district uses to gauge where our students are. And so, again, it is something that we also have to take into consideration. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but it's the truth, in that the pandemic certainly has impacted our students' abilities, and that distance learning was not the most conducive to learning, and so we do have areas that we need to make up, and we are working very hard to do that. But when a student is not successful, the first place we have to look at is what's happening in that instructional core. Again, ensuring that we have high-quality teachers, that our students have access to robust, rigorous curriculum, and that relationship in that classroom is what it needs to be, because, again, impacts the social-emotional well-being of a child. So we are committed to doing that work.
And I think the second question was about the overhead, which I'm assuming was like the administration staff. Yeah. Sure. Right.
They gave me the mic, sorry.
It's okay.
So, and if that, I mean, that's to me would be a basic question, and to be getting more money whenever it's not necessarily, we're not seeing an increase, we're not seeing a betterment of student scores, like the W schools that are down county. They still, I don't think there's one of them now that's in the top 100 in the country, and this is U.S. News and World Report, that we used to have lots of schools in the top 100. We don't anymore. So, and I think that's pre-pandemic. So I would offer that the trend is going down, and so I guess the follow-up question is, are we spending too much on DEI type stuff, and we're distracted from doing the basic STEM, teaching, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math?
Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you for that question. So with regards to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, that is important to us, right? We want every child and every staff member to feel like they belong. We are a very diverse school district, and we welcome that diversity. And if we think that that does not impact a student's ability to do well in school, we're mistaken, because it does. And so that investment is the right investment. With regards to central services exist to support schools. We serve schools. Schools cannot do the work that they do alone. And as I mentioned earlier, 80% of the district's budget goes directly to schools. The other 20% support central services. But one of the things we are doing, we have commissioned an audit to take a look at central services to see if we have, again, using our students' data and what they need now. We certainly know that there are challenges. You mentioned some, whether it's the result of the pandemic or we certainly lost a number of teachers from our profession across the country at the tune of 500,000. And so we've got a lot of new teachers coming on board. And so we have to build their capacity to provide high quality instruction. But I was saying that to say that, again, we, with regards to the central services, our role is to support schools. And that audit will let us know and give us some indication in looking at what we need. Do we have the positions that we need? Do we need to make some changes with regards to that? But we will always need essential services. Sometimes we think if we push all the positions in a school, that will take care of everything. Schools need support, and that support comes from central services, and the overwhelming majority of our district's funds are directly in our schools. There's a small portion that is needed for central services so we can support schools.
And your staff is there, I think.
Rob Riley, Associate Superintendent of Finance. I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Felder, because that answers a question regarding central services, but I wanted to provide some background. So the survey that we were talking about, that the Taxpayer League was looking at, is the Washington area, Board of Educations. No Maryland school districts participate in that anymore. The reason being is because you have to compare apples to apples. In that survey, the Virginia schools count or don't count certain things such as transportation, operations. What we tend to look at is our Maryland schools, and we have our expenditures are classified by category, and we look at our central office. So out of the 24 Maryland LEAs, we are the bottom 1 or 2 for central office. We're at 2% for our central office spending. So we just, we don't participate in that survey anymore for that reason. There's kind of a misconception that we're way higher in admin costs.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. And I looked it up while we were here. We have 25 high schools in Montgomery County. All 25 earned spots on the 2023 Best High School list published by U.S. News and World Report. 5 ranked in the top 500 nationally, and 9 were ranked in the top 30 in Maryland of all the high schools in Maryland. Poolsville was ranked first in Maryland and 140th nationally, and Walt Whitman is 147th, and Thomas Wooten is in the top 200. We have several in the top 200, including Churchill. So, and again, of the 10, how many school districts in the country?
114,000.
114,000. So I understand we always want to do better, but we are doing very well. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Nathan Campbell, and I'm a first-year performing arts major at Montgomery College. I've lived in Montgomery County all my life, graduating from Watkins Mill High School in 2023. Since I was 12 years old, I knew I wanted to dedicate my life to the arts and become an actor and artistic director to give back to my community the beauty and vibrance that the arts can provide to our community. Me and many others like me love calling Montgomery College our second home and would love to stay here as long as possible. Not only is it an amazing and affordable option as higher education costs burden prospective students, but the family we find on our campuses is invaluable to our sense of belonging and finding like-minded people. Despite these benefits, we do face our challenges on campus, mainly within our need for a building renovation in our theater arts building. Me and the other performing arts students here with me can attest to how important that building is to us and how much we would appreciate it if we no longer had to face issues that are plaguing us, from pests like bees, bugs, rodents, and even snakes in our classrooms, to flooding in our scenic shop. We love our home, with many of us working tirelessly in the theater arts building, and many others from our community using the building spaces for events as well. We humbly ask that you help us in obtaining the modern facility we need to further strengthen our mission in bringing love and joy to all in the community through the theatrical arts. Thank you for supporting our college, and thank you to the council for all that you do for MC and students like us.
Thank you. Yeah, that deserves a round of applause. It wouldn't be a Montgomery College event without a good set of students advocating for their college. So, Dr. Williams, I know you agree with everything that was said, I'm assuming.
I absolutely. I want to commend you. Thank you for sharing your voice. We are always advocates of students sharing their voice, being part of the process, identifying the process. We know so often, I think this is a bigger kind of component of, people go voiceless. They don't know where they fit in the process. So I know I was very specific, about our theater arts building. I see this larger component of our students, our residents, finding their voice and process and letting their voice be heard. So thank you for letting your voice be heard.
And I will say we did, in the Education and Culture Committee, step 1 of the process for the theater arts building, we did recommend moving it forward we've asked for information about how to fit it in and if it could be staged a little differently. The full council did agree with that to try to keep it on schedule. So while we haven't passed it yet, reconciliation is kind of like fit a big puzzle. You got to fit everything together, including with MCPS. It's all one pot of money. But we did preliminarily recommend to try to move that project forward. So thank you for your advocacy, and go Watkins Mill. So I'm going to turn online, and then we'll come, if there's other students, please, or anyone else, then we'll come back into the room. This was for MCPS. Are you planning to increase funding for mental health services in the schools? And if so, what's in the budget for that? And I think we're going to Mr. Hull.
Great question, and as Dr. Felder highlighted earlier, we are still very much in the recovery from COVID, and our young people are facing challenges that they just have not seen before, and our students are struggling. And so, as a school system, we have invested a lot of money in social, emotional, and mental health supports because we know that our students can't learn well if they're not well. And so, in this very tight fiscal year, one of the things that we prioritized was mental health supports. So currently we have about $30 million of supports funded through the federal COVID relief funds. Those funds expire September of this school year, so those funds are going away. It's about $120 million of revenue that we have budgeted this year from the federal relief funds that's going to be gone next year. So a lot of things just can't be kept, but the one thing that we did prioritize was the social and emotional supports, and that includes social workers, psychologists, and parent and community coordinators for our schools, to the tune of about $30 million that we have prioritized moving from the federal funds back into the operating budget for next year and future years.
And that would keep it at current levels, or would that expand at all?
That will keep it at current levels. We certainly will look to expand in the future, but just knowing the challenges that the county is facing financially this year, we're really hoping that we'll be able to fund the supports, maintain the supports that we already have in place, because we know how crucial they are.
And we're going to have, I've been visiting all the 25 clusters and schools, and Councilmember Balcom has been along with me on several of the visits, and we hear about mental health all the time from our students. It's a huge issue, much more so than pre-pandemic it was an issue, but it has just been accelerated. So thank you for that answer. I think we have a young lady in the room.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I'm currently a student here at MC, and I just wanted to comment how much I appreciate being here. I do go to college, tuition, all expenses paid for. I don't need to pay for my textbooks, for my classes. And it's a big blessing because my parents can't really afford it, and so this gives me the opportunity to explore my interests as a young adult and discovering what my passions are. I also want to mention that I'm in the Renaissance Scholars Program here at Germantown, and so it's been an amazing opportunity for me to be able to transfer to Ivy Leagues and four-year institutions that I didn't really think were possible. My major is general studies, just because I'm still figuring it out, but I am really interested in public policy, which is also why I attended today. It's been very informative to kind of see this kind of layout and how things work, so it's very, very informative. And I do want to mention that I did enroll in the dual college program when I was a senior as a homeschooler, and I just wanted to bring up that it's not super well known among the homeschool community that there is this option. I did have to pay out of pocket, but there is a high school grant that you guys offer that my sister uses. And although it is affordable, it is not well known. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you very much. Well, we hope you'll stay interested in public policy and come intern and testify and all those things. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Let me go over here and then we'll come back. Yes, sir.
You want to guess what major I am? My name is Jason Racino, and I'm a student here at MC. I live in Gaithersburg all my life, and I attended Gaithersburg High School, Boo Watkins Mill. I'm a performance arts major, theater focused, and my aspiration is to become an actor, writer, and director. I was most recently in the MC production of The Visit, and I received a KCACTF nomination because of my MC training. And I would like to say I would be representing MC against 80 different colleges from 9 different states, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going for the win. You don't gotta clap for that. Your support for our college and the arts is greatly appreciated. I came to MC because it's an affordable option with a great performing arts program with so much room to grow, and I want to be a part of that growth. And I don't regret my choice. I'm here with several other performing arts students, and we're all excited about the possibility of the TA building being renovated. Lately, it's felt like a new era has ushered in within the department with a lot of new faces, a lot of new teachers. But the fact of the matter is we need a TA building that matches the amazing crop of talent we have right now, the amazing faculty like Dean Frank, like Irene Albee, like Scott, and all we ask for humbly is an updated and modern facility to learn in, foster this new promising crop of talents, as well as the future ones. Thank you, all you guys, for what you guys do for the county, for MCPS, for us. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you very much. As you heard my answer to the previous question, we're moving forward on theater arts. I know you are, and I hope you are. I'm aware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Anama, and I'm a student here at Montgomery College. I live in Germantown, Maryland, and I live within Montgomery County. I attended Quince Orchard High School, and I recently graduated this past year. I'm a psychology and biotechnology double major, and I'm in my first year at Montgomery College, and one day I hope to work in healthcare at the intersection of these two fields. I wanted to say thank you so much for supporting our college, and I came to MC because it's affordable tuition and to avoid burdening my family with the cost of student loan debt that often is incurred with an undergraduate degree. And several of my family members have attended this very institution and would not be where they are today if it weren't for the affordable tuition and the multitude of opportunities offered at this institution. I'm here with several other Montgomery College students, and we're so grateful for your efforts in keeping MC affordable. And thank you for all you do for Montgomery College and their students.
Thank you. And when you graduate and you get a job, come back and work in our great biotech and healthcare industry here in Montgomery County. I mentioned this the other day that, when I worked in the Obama administration, part of my job was to visit all the community colleges in the country. And I've been to all of them, many of them. And Montgomery College is at the top of the list, I promise you that. I'm going to switch back online here, or to sent in questions, and this is one that's for you, Dr. Felder. It's about dual language. Montgomery County, it's time to make Montgomery County dual language for all. If we need to, perhaps start with dual language after school programs at every school and build up the vision. But we know it helps parents, kids, and community building. It's past time that it should be in magnet schools only. Why wait?
Well, I certainly agree that our students should have more access to languages, and that being multilingual is an advantage that our students will help them in their future. And so, like everything else, we have to be able to fund that. We have to be able to find teachers who can teach these languages, and in order to give our students those that access. And so it's really a funding issue, and but it's something we know that will benefit our students long term. And so certainly agree with that. It's just something we will have to look into. How do we make that happen, both in terms of staffing, the instructional materials to make that happen, and where do we fit that into the day. But we do have access. I want to just mention beyond just in the magnet program, we do have programs in our schools, in our elementary schools in particular, that allow children to have dual language experiences. And yes, the goal would be to expand that. When we can do that is a funding issue, but it's certainly something that we would support and advocate for.
Thank you, Dr. Felder. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia Youngling, and I'm a student at both Sherwood High School and Montgomery College. And through the early college program, I am pursuing my Associate of Science degree in data science, and I plan to pursue a career in machine learning. And I'm here today to discuss why summer MC courses are not paid for by MCPS. As an early college student, my family does make above $100K, but although we do make above the benchmark to qualify students like me for the grant scholarship, I have two siblings who are also in college, and my family is trying their best to pay off their tuition. And we also have many health issues that run in my family of 6. I've enrolled in early college because I wanted to support my family so I can save money not just for myself, but also for my other siblings. And the career path that I have embarked on requires me to have a strong foundation in statistics and calculus series. But the degree program that I have enrolled in is business calculus, which isn't the same as Calculus 1 with the other data science students in my cohort. The colleges that I want to apply for after I graduate require classes such as Calculus 1 and 2 and other classes related to math. So I have tried to talk to my early college coordinator about taking those classes over the summer, but I learned I had to pay for those classes out of my pocket. And you see, I enrolled in this program to get ahead on my career and to save money, but if I wanted to take those courses to fulfill these degree requirements at four-year colleges, I would end up paying $1,400 out of my own pocket, which I cannot afford as a 16-year-old. Although MC does pay for fall, spring, and winter classes, usually early college students cannot fit those extra classes into our own schedules, which is why we have to resort to taking summer classes. Not only this, I know many other early college students who have the same problem as me, where they want to take classes in the summer for their degree, but they cannot because they have to pay out of their own pockets. I'm here tonight on behalf of my classmates to ask both MC and MCPS, why do we have degree pathways that won't fulfill the requirements for school like UMD, and why can't MCPS support these students by covering for these courses which can? Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our concerns and your invaluable efforts to improve the educations of students in Montgomery County.
Thank you. So I'll see if we addressed, I think, this in part earlier, but
Yes.
if you want to add anything.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, take a moment to appreciate you sharing. Thank you very much. It's the lived experiences of our students and the residents who we seek to serve that help us grow, right? To help us learn, help us adapt, and help us make more equitable opportunities. So all the things I'm hearing you say are things that I know we want to dive into. We want to find more and better equitable ways to ensure that we can expand dual enrollment. And so again, I want to say thank you, and thank you for uplifting the positive components about it, and as well as the potential opportunities for adaptive and technical changes that we seek, right, to support all of our residents here in Montgomery County. So thank you.
And I'll say, when we have the budget and we talk about this portion, we'll bring it up. It's, I think 250 students graduated last year.
About a little more.
Or a little more than that. I mean, that's, one, we want to make sure more people know about it. We heard you loud and clear. Two, that there aren't access issues and payment issues. I think that's something with those number of students that we could address.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I think we have a question that was presented in Spanish, right?
Yes, I'm Claudia and Eileen were the Spanish interpreters, and a question in Spanish came in, and it says, I'm motivated to learn English. I hope you can help me. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. The question was, I'm motivated to learn English. Can you please help me? We have several services. One of the things I'm really proud of. Oh, yes, ma'am. Was there another question?
We're going to interpret the
Oh, so I need
answer
to go
for-
slowly.
Right.
Because it came in online.
Reporting.
Got
Yes.
it. Understood.
Okay. Right.
Well, first, thank her for the question.
Muchas gracias para su pregunta.
And we have McCael, MCAEL, which is a organization that funds English language learning opportunities for adults. I'm assuming this is an adult. Well, we don't know. I don't know. Do we know if, I'm assuming.
Tenemos aquí es una organización donde ellos dan recursos, fondos para adultos.
And if you go on the website for McCael, there will come up programs all across the county where you can sign up and learn how to learn English in a class near you. They're all across the county. We fund them. They're part of the education budget that we will consider this year. And it's a very important part of Montgomery County, considering a third of our residents are foreign-born.
Si usted va a la página web de McCael, usted puede buscar ahí donde tiene los recursos para estas clases para adultos. En lugar donde le pertenece, tenemos un presupuesto asignado especialmente para clases, por ejemplo, para clases de inglés, para adultos que quieran tomar esa clase en el condado.
I was just talking with Dr. Williams. Montgomery College also offers courses for adult learners in English, so you could also look at the Montgomery College website, which I believe is also available in Spanish. I'm not sure about that. We're going to check on that.
But we could definitely reach out to us, and if you're here today? The person's here?
They're online.
Oh, they're online, okay, all right. Online.
También tenemos aquí clase en el Montgomery College de inglés, parece clase de español también, pero tenemos aquí clase donde puede anotarse.
Wonderful. And this is recorded and will be streamed and everything, so it can be accessed later as well. So thank you all for translating.
Thank you.
I have a couple, if you have any other in the room, please line up. We've got about 10 more minutes of questions, but there's one that I wanted to make sure we got to for MCPS related to special education. How much money was added to the budget for special education? We're seeing an increase in our schools. So that was the question that was submitted.
Yes, I can certainly speak to the fact that the number of students who are identified as needing special services has certainly increased, and I'm going to allow Mr. Hall to speak to the specifics of what's in the budget for next year.
Great, thank you for that question. So yes, this is one of our fastest growing student populations. We currently, out of our overall budget, have about $500 million allocated for special education. For next year, we're going to see an increase of about $15 million, and that's strictly based on enrollment of new students qualifying for special education services, and that number continues to grow year over year, and of course, fluctuates slightly as we evaluate new students as they come into the school system and as they work their way through, the K-12 progression. So it's about $500 million overall.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hall and Dr. Felder. Another question for MCPS, and I can say this from visiting schools, this is something I hear about a lot. What in the budget will support retaining staff, teachers and staff who may be thinking about exiting the profession?
Well, great question. And so as we shared earlier, one of the things certainly will be the benefits and their salaries. Again, our teachers have options, and we have to stay competitive. And we do that by way of our salaries and the benefits that we offer. And we know that teachers living in Montgomery County, it's costly. And so we need to take that into consideration as well. Mr. Hall, I don't know if you want to add any more details with regards to that, but salary benefits are important to retaining all staff, not just our teaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Felder summed it up pretty well there. That is our largest, of the increase that we're seeking this year, that is by far the largest portion. It makes up about $120 million of the ask. So, the lion's share of that is going directly to salaries and benefits for our teachers. The Blueprint for Maryland's Future has set a goal of all school systems reaching a minimum salary for starting teachers of $60,000 by July 1st of 2026. We in Montgomery County Public Schools will reach that mark this summer, July 1st of 2024. And so we have really prioritized this. Last year, we were able to come to an agreement with all three of our employee associations, our unions, to provide a 6% raise, plus a step for eligible employees, which is about another 3%. And then this summer, again, they will see a 3% increase, assuming that we, are funded and able to provide that plus a step. And so we really have prioritized that because we know that how critical this is and how steep the competition is. And if every other district in the state is going to be at 60,000, we know here in Montgomery County we've got to be above that. The cost of living here is higher, the demands are higher, and so we need to be setting the pace for the state, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Two questions for me, actually. It looks like I got a question.
Your turn.
All right, so you get a break. You can take a sip of water. And they're related. One was, I care a lot about the budget issues in my school cluster. What is the best way to engage with the system to advocate for improvements. And another question from a student was, I value my education and would like to know if there are opportunities for me to become involved in amplifying student voice. Appreciate that question, and if you all have comments, you can add. One of the things I should have mentioned at the top, unique to MCPS, whereas Montgomery College, they submit their budget to the county and they get some state aid as well. MCPS has a Board of Education that first governs the school system and their operations, and there is a budget presented to the county executive, as I mentioned, which is then presented to us, and we decide the top line number. The board decides how to spend that money within budget categories. And as you saw on Dr. Felder's slide, the end of that process, after they know how much money they're going to get, they have to reconvene and make everything fit within that dollar amount. And so that's our process here in Montgomery County. So first things first, you want to advocate at all the levels. You want to advocate at the school board level, you want to write into the council. As I mentioned, next week we are having our budget hearings, and I was just looking up, if you go to montgomerycounty.gov, you can sign up and submit live testimony, you can do it virtually, you can submit written testimony ahead of our budget hearings. We'll be at the council late at night on April 9th, 8th and 9th, and during the day, listening to everyone submitting testimony. Some of you can sign up, and I heard it, I'll take it back to my colleagues, but you could also do it as well to make sure your voices are heard. And that's on any issue, including obviously education-related issues. The other thing I would say is organize in your community. Make sure you get other people to write in, right? I always tell people when you leave a meeting, tell 5 other people that it's important and tell them to write in and give them the tools to do that. That's really important to not only spread the information about what's happening in the county, but also to get information to us. We've been receiving hundreds of emails already on various issues in the budget, so this is the time to do that. Yeah, so I think I've answered those questions. I saw we have a question from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for this event, and welcome our superintendent. My name is Samira Hussein, and I just retired from MCPS after almost 25 years of full-time and about 10 years as a sub and interpreter. My concern is I lived through all these waves of refugees that we receive, but I don't think we are really prepared to receive refugees. We're not prepared to accommodate them, language-wise and other services like counseling or social services part. Is there any plans to create a program or something to guide those parents through how to navigate the system, how to go through, provide them with resources? As far as I know, for example, I worked in early childhood. I was in the pre-K Head Start program for 20 years. And we received the parents there. I was the only one in that whole entire Rocking Horse could read and write Arabic. And I helped my next door neighbors in the International Student Office because they don't have anyone who speaks Arabic there. And all these, the Iraqis are Arab and the Syrians are Arab, and that's the part that was missing. So I'm just thinking about that part. And also we have a lot of Afghan families who came, and they need resources, they need counseling, and no one spoke their language either. So I'm just hoping that we can accommodate those families, not to take anything from anybody else though, just maybe create and hire more help. I don't think the whole entire MCPS have any Arabic speaking executive. So that's another part. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Felder, do you want to comment on that?
No, I certainly thank you for raising this, and we certainly need to do more to be of support to our refugee families. And engaging with community partners is certainly something that we're doing more of. But yeah, it is a continuous work in progress. So I thank you for raising that, because we want all of our students to be successful, and it will be work that we will continue to do.
And I will add, you know, we have been very active on the council with the Welcome Back Center and the newcomers. We've had briefings with MCPS prior to Dr. Felder's arrival, but with the team about the office within MCPS that deals with when you have an influx of refugees or asylum seekers from wherever, to make sure that we have the appropriate resources. We've had to deal with other states sending people here, and what that means, and so we've really had to deal with that on a multiple. But as you said, any student that's here is entitled to a really robust, free, and public education that we need to have services for. So I'm glad you retired, but I'm not glad you retired. But thank you for your service and for many, many years in many capacities. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Brian Schaefer. I'm graduating this semester. I initially wasn't going to attend college due to the financial burden, but since finding out about the low tuition rates at Montgomery College and all of the resources present at the college, I decided to attend. And since then, I am now receiving a federal work study, and I tutor students with disabilities, and I also am a recipient of the STEM Scholar Scholarship and the Renaissance Scholar Scholarship. And I am hearing answers from transfer schools already, and I'm majoring in biology, and I'm planning to transfer and then go to graduate school now. So thank you for all of the resources you've provided me.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're so glad you decided to attend, and can't wait for you to get all that education and come on back. Okay, I think, are we good to go? Okay, so I think we can move to, if there's any other burning questions, so thank you. We have another one of these on the 16th down at Blair High School. And so please tell your friends or people, you're welcome to come again if you want to do it again. We maybe will have better answers, see if we give the same answer. But really appreciate those who are watching online, those who came in person. Again, this is a critical component of our budget process to hear from as many people as possible. We will have hearings at the council April 8th and 9th. You can still sign up for the wait list, and there may be additional hearings. Some of that may be opened up, or you can submit written testimony as well, or you can come on April 16th to Blair, or submit questions to that form as well. Really appreciate Montgomery College hosting us, and for Dr. Felder and MCPS staff for coming out, and my colleague, Councilmember Balcom, for coming out as well. And before I close us out, I want to see if there's any closing comments from Dr. Felder, maybe first, and then I'll go to Dr. Williams.
Thank you so much. So again, thank you all for coming out tonight and participating in this event. It certainly speaks to the value that this community places on educating students pre-K into college. And that is our work, and we will continue to strive to ensure that all students in Montgomery County are successful and are prepared for their futures. So thank you. And the feedback and questions were great. And so thank you.
Dr. Williams?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Felder. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening. For those who will listen later, you've given us so much to consider as we move forward, all right, and make our partnerships even better as we produce more equitable opportunities for our students and the residents who we seek to serve here in Montgomery County. So very thankful for all of you, and just deeply appreciative of this evening. Look forward to seeing everyone soon.
And I'm going to call an audible. Councilmember Balcom, would you like to say anything before we close out? We always want to say something.
but I'll be very brief. Thank you, both of you, for coming tonight, and for Chair Jawando for planning this. I just want to just say something about the students that we heard from today. I love Montgomery College, and I am always impressed when I see students. You've done us all very proud by your questions and your comments, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Hear, hear. And with that, as I guess we are adjourned, as I normally say at the committee hearings. So thank you, everybody, for coming out, and have a good night.